perseverance to stay strong in spite of amazing obstacles. Happy Mashujaa Day. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my pleasure to present the news today this evening. Standing in, of course, for more familiar faces of Linda Alela and Eric Monene. Once again, good evening, but first, the highlights.
President Ruto launches UHC plan, which comes as a green light to the move that could see Kenyans dig deeper into their pockets.
Kila Mkenya atakuwa na social insurance fund card. Na wewe utaenda hospitali na utatumia hiyo card, either umejilipia mwenyewe ama umelipiwa na serikali.
This as a Kenyan moves to court seeking to block the implementation of the new health law. Angolan President João Lourenço skips Mashujaa Day event in Kericho amid speculations on his whereabouts. And the Senate committee releases report on the Shakahola cult deaths, recommending Pastor Mackenzie's Good News Church be declared a criminal organization.
Well, I certainly hope you're doing well this day, and I hope your Mashujaa Day went well. And additionally, I hope you get to celebrate your heroes, those in your life, at least before they pass away. And on to our news this evening. Tonight, a petition has been filed in court challenging the newly enacted Social Health Insurance Act. The petitioner argues that the mandatory 2.75% from the employees is excessive for Kenyans who are already burdened with taxes and deductions. This comes as President William Ruto officially launches the Universal Health Coverage Plan, whose implementation will, of course, be streamlined by 4 new health laws, including the Social Health Insurance Act, the Primary Healthcare Act, the Digital Health and Facility Improvement Act, Financing Act, I beg your pardon, which were signed into law on Thursday of this week. Take a look at the story.
The over 18-year journey towards the implementation of the UHC rollout in the country has been frustrated by a myriad of challenges, the last attempt being the 2018 launch of the UHC pilot program in the counties of Isiolo, Nyeri, Machakos and Kisumu.
Wapi makofi ya rais?
On Friday, during this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations in Kericho County, President William Ruto launched the UHC plan in what seems to be the 4th attempt to jump-kick the initiative.
There have been several attempts and efforts to achieve universal health coverage. One in 2003, in 2013, and in 2018. However, these efforts were met with little success.
The launch comes just a day after President William Ruto signed the Social Health Insurance Act, the Primary Healthcare Act, Digital Health and Facility Improvement Financing Act into law to support the overhaul, which might improve health service delivery in Kenya. Under the Social Health Insurance Act of 2023, all Kenyans will be expected to enroll on a medical health scheme dubbed the Social Health Authority, which shall replace the National Health Insurance Fund with 3 funds, including the Social Health Insurance Fund, Primary Healthcare Fund, and the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. The mode of contribution towards the health insurance will also change from the current flat rate of 500 Kenya shillings to the 2.75% of salary, which will see low-income earners contribute a minimum of 300 Kenya shillings and the high economic class contributing a maximum of 5,000 Kenya shillings.
Health insurance coverage in Kenya is generally low at about 26%. with those at the bottom of the economic pyramid having the least coverage at only 5%.
Under the Primary Healthcare Act, both the national and county governments are set to disburse 3 billion Kenya shillings every year to cater for their monthly stipend for the 100,000 community health promoters who will play a critical role in attaining UHC by offering health services at household levels.
The work of the promoters will include basic preventive and promotive health, health education, basic first aid for the treatment of minor injuries and ailments at household level.
The lack of autonomy in financing and the management of public health facilities in the country has led to poor service delivery and lack of transparency and accountability in the facilities. The government seeks to solve this through the implementation of the Facility Improvement Financing Act. The Digital Health Act has been identified as one of the key pillars in UHC. For now, Kenyans are waiting to see if they will be able to access quality and affordable health services as the government implements the newly launched UHC plan. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
Now, today has been an amazing day for most people. However, families and loved ones of the victims of the Kericho Green Stadium stampede are asking the government to help them offset funeral expenses. The 3 a.m. incident, which claimed the lives of 4, all of them women, also left 6 police officers seriously injured. Vera Alberta with more.
As millions of Kenyans celebrated Mashujaa Day countrywide, tears and a cloud of sadness hover around Kericho County Referral Hospital. The pain of losing loved ones evident here on a day that is supposed to be full of happiness as the country celebrates Mashujaa Day.
Ilikuwa furaha kwetu, lakini saa hii imekuwa kilio kwa kupoteza sister yangu.
According to police reports, together with the officers who are manning security at the Kericho Green Stadium, the 3 a.m. stampede occurred after a tea vendor spilled tea on a fire outside the gate, causing panic among the crowd that was eagerly waiting to get into the stadium, fearing that it could be tear gas.
Kwa tu ni ile commotion kwa sababu watu wengi walitaka kuingia stadium mwendo wa saa 9 asubuhi ili waweze kujumuika katika sherehe za Jamhuri. Kwa hivyo ni kitendo ambalo ni la bahati mbaya.
According to the Ministry of Interior, the 4 deaths were confirmed at the Kericho County Referral Hospital. Among those injured were 4 civilians and 6 police officers. The survivors of this heart-wrenching ordeal, receiving treatment at the Kericho County Referral Hospital, narrate their side of the story, glad to have escaped the Grim Reaper scythe.
Tukiwa katika station ya kufanya coverage, ndio wakakuja commotion. Waking'ang'ana kuingia, tulipowazuia ndio wakafanya hizo vitu. Hata wakaniposa kichwa.
Relatives of the deceased asking the government to help in covering funeral expenses.
So kama kuna msaada yeyote utusaidie ili tufanyie sherehe ya mwisho ya funeral.
As others asked the government to ensure orderliness during such events to prevent the same from happening.
Napenda kuhimiza the government, wakati tunafanya sherehe kama hii, inafaa tuwe na mpangilio, mkataba, ili watu wakuwe na mambo ya mpangilio kuingia katika viwanja kama hivyo.
Vera Alberta, TV47, Nairobi.
May the good Lord rest their souls in eternal peace. President William Ruto says that his government is committed to improving the standard of living, and particularly by supporting the agricultural sector. The head of state was addressing the nation during this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations in Kericho. William Moige reports.
County 035 played host to this year's Mashujaa Day celebration. Kenyans started streaming into the 10,000 capacity Kericho Green Stadium as early as 5 a.m. Friday. An ecstatic crowd welcomed the Commander-in-Chief, who made it to the stadium minutes past 9 a.m. ready to lead the nation in marking this year's celebrations. President Ruto, taking to the podium to address the nation. In his speech, universal health coverage took center stage. He, however, took the opportunity to highlight the strides made by his government in the first year in office.
We have placed over 200,000 acres under cultivation, which is more than last year. We are looking forward to a bountiful 44 million bags from the long rain season and 61 million bags overall.
Agriculture, a key driver of the economy, also featuring prominently, with the president urging farmers to register for the subsidized fertilizer program.
Fertilizer support for the short range crop is now available at National Cereals and Produce Board depots for regions that planned in this season.
To enhance service delivery, the president also reiterated his commitment to ensure more government services are available online.
This has increased efficiency in service delivery, revenue collection, and enhanced accountability of government services and revenues.
For the education sector, President Ruto is promising to address issues of teachers' shortage in the next 2 years. He also emphasized on the importance of his pet project, focusing on building houses for Kenyans, saying it will spur economic growth.
The construction of 46,792 units is already underway, and another 40,000 units are ready to commence construction in the next few days.
Albeit these year's Mashujaa Day celebrations focusing on universal health coverage, President William Ruto has reaffirmed his commitment to lowering the cost of living, a situation that has caused hue and cry among a majority of Kenyans. Mwege William, Kericho Green Stadium in Kericho County.
Tonight, government sources have settled speculation on the absence, or rather presence, of the Angolan President João Lourenço. During Friday's Mashujaa Day celebrations at the Kericho Green Stadium, the Angolan leader, who is in the country for a 2-day visit, failed to appear because he's said to have fallen ill, therefore skipping the country's celebrations of Mashujaa at Kericho Stadium. Apollo Kamau with more.
The Angolan leader, who arrived in the country on Thursday for a 2-day state visit and was expected to be the chief guest during the Mashujaa Day feat at Kericho Green Stadium, was a no-show in Kericho amid speculation on why he missed the event despite being in the country. According to highly placed sources, President João Lourenço fell ill after his arrival, prompting the last-minute change, sending his Foreign Affairs Minister, Tete Antonio, to represent him during the celebrations.
On behalf of President João Lourenço, I would first like to convey his apologies. He would have loved to be here, but for foreseen reasons, he couldn't make it to Kericho. But he sent you a very warm greeting, thanking again for the warm reception we always have been granted whenever we come to Kenya.
Though no further details were divulged on his health status, whether he was admitted or just took a rest, after a 4-hour 20-minute flight from Angola, President Lourenço will be hosted by President William Ruto at State House on Saturday morning. The last Angolan leader to visit Kenya was in 1975.
We will never have enough words to thank the Kenyan people for contributing not only to our freedom, but also for consolidating, helping the Angolan people to consolidate our independence.
This is not the first time the 69-year-old head of state has caused a health scare. In October last year, speculation mounted in Angola over a private visit to Spain that saw an Angolan man arrested for claiming on social media he had passed on. Lourenço took over from José Eduardo dos Santos, who ruled Angola from 1979 to 2017 and died in Barcelona, Spain last year. Apol Kamau, TV47.
There was pomp and colour at the Green Stadium in Kericho, where thousands of Kenyans gathered to celebrate the Mashujaa Day. From the perfect military parade to the enchanting cultural dances that got President William Ruto up on his feet. The residents of Kericho and other parts of the Rift Valley got a feel of what it's like to host a major national celebration. Sheila Chelangat has the details.
A first for this Green County, thousands of residents braving the cold to witness the splendor that comes with such a celebration. Security personnel here leaving nothing to chance, manning all entries to this stadium, and once the president arrived, cheers filled the stadium, marking the start of the celebrations. This perfect military parade inspected by the Commander-in-Chief, owing the residents of Kericho who are witnessing firsthand the taste of a state celebration. To the military jets passing by and the message on the banner of this helicopter, wishing Kenyans a happy Mashujaa Day. The crowning moment, however, was this entertainment session. These school children elating the audience with their perfect formations. Performing in unison and passion, they even got the president up on his feet, dancing to the popular tune from the region. But that was not all. Residents happy the government is renaming this stadium to Kiprugut Chumo, the first Kenyan runner to win a medal during the 1968 Olympic Games.
The cultural dances stole the show here in Kericho County, with 95% of the performances Mashujaa Day celebrations. Sheila Chelangat for TV47 in Kericho County.
Thank you, Sheila, for that. Captain Armstrong Malemo is among the many countrymen and women who have today been recognized as heroes. A retired Kenya Airways captain, Captain Malemo ruled the airways or the jet streams for a total of 40 years. He has flown senior leaders like the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi and has his name on the Kenyan history books by bringing back KDF soldiers from a mission in Namibia. Grace Kuriakanja with his story.
My name's Captain Armstrong Malemo. The name Armstrong, I named myself about the first man who landed on the moon. He was called Neil Armstrong. So I was just calling myself Armstrong to imitate the first man to land on the moon. So I thought, what can I also do to go into history like being a first in something?
And true to it, he lived up to his expectations.
I'm proud to say that I was the first pilot in Africa to fly Airbus A310-300.
See, retired Captain Armstrong's scintillating career started in 1978. Quick question, where were you then? But before then, on 20th July 1975, he already knew what he wanted. He was to either be a pilot or an engineer.
From the flying school, I joined Kenya Airways. And luckily enough, when we were just qualifying, Kenya was newly formed.
But ladies and gentlemen, there is no easy way to the top. Captain Malemo, who for 40 years flew high-profile leaders, among them the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, and probably you, says this job is not for the faint-hearted. It requires grit.
I was selected to go and bring the Kenya Defense Forces soldiers from Namibia. The Kenya Defense Forces soldiers had participated in peacekeeping when Namibia was attaining its independence. So I'm the one who was selected to go and bring them back, to ferry them back. And why me? Because the airport was fairly challenging because it is a remote, Namibia is a semi-desert, and this was a very remote airport in a location called Grofontaine. There were no facilities for landing the aircraft, like radio aids or navigational aids, and the flight was at night. So you had to be competent to be selected to do that kind of a flight.
But he navigated through it, and throughout his 4-decade-long career, he has never had any accident. Perhaps why these and many more achievements led him to be declared Shujaa on this Mashujaa Day.
I feel excited. I feel like I'm on top of the world. I mean, I've been recognized and I feel I deserved this.
Having retired in 2018, Captain Malemo detailed what it is like to encounter a threat on the airways.
Whether it's just somebody calling and saying, oh, I put something like this, or there's somebody on that board who can do ABCD, you don't take it as a hoax. Okay, you handle it as a real threat until you prove that it was not a real threat.
Indeed, his has been a glamorous and rewarding career. We celebrate you, Captain Malemo, and all other Shujas.
You have to be hardworking. You have to have that determination. It's like you are focused, you want to do this career, and you have to stay focused. You have to have self-discipline. You are supposed to be at an airport at this particular time. There's no plus or minus. In fact, you're allowed a maximum of 3 minutes, and then they call standby crew. You have to follow the instructions. They tell you don't do this, and they mean it when you are told whatever. So there's that self-discipline. You need some courage also, to some extent.
Grace Kuriakanja, TV47.
60 years ago, Kenya got its independence with the primary objectives of eradicating poverty, illiteracy, and fighting diseases. And as we reflect on these objectives 60 years later, the question arises, have they been fully achieved? Tonight, we highlight the story of a modern-day hero who has refused to let his disability define him as he strives to eradicate illiteracy in his community. Andreen Kilemi brings us that story.
Deep in the heart of Kajiado County, in a sleepy village called Eseki, in a vast arid landscape where dry trees stand tall against the relentless winds, is a humble makeshift classroom. This structure is a testament to the indomitable spirit and thirst for knowledge that burns within the Maasai women of Eseki village, Matapato ward, Kajiado County. Every day, a remarkable sight unfolds as Samson Sitoya, a 39-year-old teacher, embarks on his journey to the makeshift classroom. Often, his wife Joyce Sitoya, who is also a student of his class, pushes him on his wheelchair along the bumpy, rocky paths, carrying their 1-year-old baby on her back, and sometimes placing him on his father's laps. The scene of Samson, his wife Joyce, and their 1-year-old baby paints a picture of shared commitment to education that binds the people of Matapato together.
Good morning, class. Good morning, madam. Tunasema good morning, teacher.
As usual, they begin their day with a word of prayer, a moment for them to reflect, give thanks, and seek blessings for the task ahead. Today's lesson is on Kiswahili and mathematics. Mwalimu Sitoya uses different methods to teach, and singing is one of them. UVWSYZ. Mwalimu Sitoya's motivation to teach and inspire these adult learners comes from his own life experiences.
Sikumaliza shule yangu ya msingi. So nikaenda kibarua, nikashughulika na wale wadogo wangu, na baadaye nikaja kupata msukumo. Wakati nimemaliza, nikaja nikapata cheti yangu ama certificate yangu, kumbe nikajua ya kwamba hata mtu mzima, kwa sababu nimekuja kufanya hizo mitihani zangu zote, nimesoma hiyo muda yangu, nikakuja kufanya mitihani zangu zote already nikiwa na familia, nikakuja kujua ya kwamba kumbe mtu akiwa na familia bado anaweza kuwa mwanafunzi na asome na amalize shule yake.
Since the inception of this class approximately 7 months ago, there has been a remarkable increase in the number of students. According to the teacher's register, the class has grown from an initial count of 7 students to a current enrollment of 38. The class primarily consists of mothers and young women who entered into marriage at an early age. What is most striking is the age range of students. The youngest learner here is aged 27, while the oldest is 70 years old. This diversity in ages highlights the inclusive nature of the class.
Nasema ya kwamba hawa watu hatutaishia tu kwa kujua kuandika na kusoma, bali tunataka kusonga kiwango ya kwamba mtu ana cheti chake cha kusoma na mtu amefikia kiwango yake ya kuajiriwa.
Some of these learners face additional challenges of having to bring their children with them. Unfortunately, the presence of these children can occasionally disrupt the class.
Tukipata namna ili tupate another different class, tunaweza weka hiyo class ingine ili wale watoto wengine pia waweze kusoma. Wale wadogo tunaweza weka pale, wamama waendelee kusoma, na tutafute mtu mwenye atawanyamasisha pale akiwafundisha wale kidogo wamekuwa, na wale wadogo wakaekae pale wakiendelea kujua.
The absence of men in this classroom is indeed surprising. Not a single man has come forward to participate in these Ngumbaru lessons. This notable gender disparity raising questions about the community's attitude towards education.
Unajua wanaume saa ingine wanakuwa na ile kakiburi ya nafsi ambayo inawadanganya. Jambo lingine ambalo inasumbua wanaume sana ni mambo ya commitment. In fact, ni wanaume wanaenda day by day for hustling. So saa ingine wanaona darasa inakuwa ngumu kwa sababu kama hujasoma basi unabidi ufanye kazi kwa ugumu upate nini? Upate chakula chako.
Elizabeth Kimutua, one of the students in this class, explains that her driving force to attend lessons here is the hardship she experiences when she has to rely on public means for transportation.
Kama naenda kuingia mahali ya Tanganyika na wana ambao ajui state haioni kitu. Kama naenda kufuta ambao kukuta ambao natoa macho hauna kitu. Mama amepotea hapo. Hata kama watu wanakuja kuchukua kupeleka mahali mbaya, napeleka ama ajui kitu, hakuna mahali anaingia.
Tumejua mambo mengi, tumejua kuomba maji, tumejua pia kuelezea daktari mahali ambapo kinakuuma. Ni jambo nzuri kama sisi wanafunzi tuzingatie masomo, pia tusome vizuri.
They however experience challenges in their pursuit for education.
Saa ingine tunaenda maji, tunachelewa kwa sababu maji iko mbali. Unaenda na mtoto mgongoni na punda, unachelewa, unakuta mwalimu amekaa darasani mpaka akachoka.
I myself, I move and I walk with a wheelchair, which is not a power wheelchair. Sababu ingekuwa ni power wheelchair, I hope hiyo ingekuwa isi kidogo utembea na kufika. But this is a wheelchair that you use your energy to push and then you come. Unakuta ya kwamba hata saa ingine inakugonga kidogo mpaka inakuchipua.
Due to his physical challenge and in a bid to ensure continuity of lessons every other week, Mwalimu Sitoya made a significant decision to have another teacher in the delivery of lessons. His presence guarantees these adult Maasai women access to education even when Mwalimu Sitoya is not available for lessons.
Tulikuwa tunapanga kuona vile tutagawa cluster 1, cluster 2 kwa maana tumeona kuna wengine ambao wamerefuka kidogo kushinda wengine na kuna wale ambao wanachelewa sana kukuja baada ya miezi 3, 4. Kwa hivyo amepata wale wameenda kama miezi 4 mbele na inatuletea changamoto.
Mtoto anakimbia.
Even though lessons offered here are free of charge, Mwalimu Sitoya insists that he teaches out of passion and not profit. He's focused solely to improve the life of his tribesmen and women who for ages have been left behind.
In fact, kazi hii nimeanzisha bila kuambiwa na mtu, bila kusaidiwa chochote, lakini ni msukumo tu ambapo imeingia ndani na hakuna mshahara tunapokea. Mimi mwenyewe sina mshahara napokea. Mwenzangu ambapo nimemuita tusaidiane, hakuna mshahara napokea.
Indeed, this is self-sacrifice and sweat for the benefit of others. And as we celebrate Mashujaa Day, we cannot forget to mention our modern-day heroes such as Mwalimu Sitoya. Andrin Kilemi, TV47, Kajiado County.
I don't know about you, but this entire news tonight is just full of inspiring stories of everyday acts of heroics. I hope you're inspired, or at least as inspired as I am. Now, as the main event was happening in Kericho, other parts of the country were also marking the Mashujaa Day celebrations. Let's take a listen to what was happening and what was said in the different parts of the country as we all celebrated Mashujaa Day together.
Nimepeana amri. Na hii amri kwa muda wa takriban siku 30 ama 40 tunataka turegee hapa tuweze kusherekea mashujaa wa Mombasa. Na mwaka ujao ikiwa tunasherekea Mashujaa Day, kaunti ya Mombasa itakuwa na the Governor's Heroic Awards. Na wale watakaoweza kuweko katika award hizi, na nimeambia department waangalie njia ili public wenyewe waweze kupiga kura. raia waweze kuamua mashujaa wao ni nani.
Wengine watatusaidia, kama ni vyakula ambavyo tunakula tunafaa kubadilisha, watakwambia. Kama ni vile nyumba iko na baridi na nini, watakwambia. Kuna mawaidha mengi watatuambia ili kuzuia magonjwa isiingie kwa mwili, ndio tuanze kuyatoa. Si ndio hiyo? Pili constituency, Kure Kinangop constituency, Orokarao constituency. Wako kila mahali 1390. Tunaomba cooperation yenu
ya bora kwa kila jamii, na nawatakia wa community health promoters kila laheri. Nimeona hiyo bagi yao iko na mashini muhimu. Naomba muzitunze hizo vifaa ili muweze kuwahudumia watu wetu vizuri.
We must have the conversion, especially now that Kenya is set to welcome the King Charles III for an official visit. It will be necessary to prepare and present a memorandum proposing how the Gusii community can get compensation for the atrocities meted out to our people during the British colonial occupation of this region.
I'll take a short break. We'll be right back with more after this. The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Muyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
you respect people.
Dari ya mfahamu kiongozi story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Kwa mirindimo kemkem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi. Mtazamaji, uko tayari? Ni kazi michezoni ama michezo kazini? Ungana nami Ahmed Bahaj, sajili mpya nimefika katika kipindi cha kipekee Mchaka Mchaka. Zitatoka cheche, tutapiga mstari chini yake. Si bora michezo, ni michezo kwa ubora wake. Mcheche.
They say money makes the world go round. So let's slow things down a bit. Put things in perspective. From the markets to the streets to the stocks, we make the complex comprehensible. Join me, Hibak Said, on TV47 Business News for market insights like never before.
What's making the headlines? What does it mean to you? How does it affect you? We answer all these questions every Sunday for half an hour on To The Point Show. Hey, I'm Grace Kuriakanja, and a lot has happened this week. Let's dive into it.
Wanasema wasemao kuwa elimu ni bahari haiishi kwa kuchotwa. Wakati mwingi natangamana na wanafunzi madarasani, sio kama mwalimu bali kama nahodha kwenye kipindi cha tasnia ya elimu. Na iwapo utanikosa madarasani, basi utanipata nyanjani nikisaka habari zenye usawa, ufasaha na ukweli. Na iwapo utanikosa nyanjani, bila shaka utanipata studioni hapa nikisoma habari na kuendesha mijadala mikomavu. Mimi ni Andrin Kilemi, mpenzi wa lugha ya Kiswahili na elimu kwa jumla.
Welcome back. If you're joining us right now, this is the Daily Report with me, Victor Muyakane, and Rachel Nyamai. Of course, standing in for the usual hosts. Those are Eric Monene and Linda Alela, beg your pardon. Now, the Senate committee investigating, among other things, the circumstances leading to deaths in Shakahola, Kilifi County, has finally released its report. Among its recommendations is that the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration declare the Good News Church Ministries, or rather Good News International Ministries, associated with Pastor Paul Mackenzie, as a criminal organization. George Maringa with more.
More than 6 months after a motion was passed establishing the ad hoc committee to investigate the Shakahola deaths, the 11-member team has produced its report, which will be laid on the floor of the House. The 175-page report lays out its findings as well as radical recommendations, which it argues will not only help unearth more on the Shakahola deaths, but also prevent a reoccurrence of the same. Paul Ndenge Mackenzie moved to Shakahola in 2020 after irregularly acquiring 800 acres of land belonging to Chakama Ranching Company Limited. The committee, chaired by Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana, now wants the following recommendations acted upon. For starters, the committee recommends that the Director of Criminal Investigations investigates the relationship between Paul Mackenzie and Ezekiel Odero with a view of establishing any criminal culpability of Ezekiel Odero in aiding or abetting the event in the Shakahola tragedy within 30 days of the adoption of the report. The committee recommends that Communications Authority creates a licensing category for religious broadcasting stations. It also wants the DCI to investigate expeditiously the atrocious and heinous actions committed by Paul Mackenzie with a view to recommending his prosecution within 30 days of adoption of the report by the Senate. Investigate with a view to expel from the Republic of Kenya any foreign person or entity advancing the doctrines or activities of the entity group religious outfits known as Voice in the Desert, to pursue the prosecution of the existing charges against Paul Mackenzie, as well as lodge fresh formal charges against Paul Mackenzie and other persons revealed to be culpable. To shut down any physical premises of Good News International Ministries, to declare Good News International Ministries and Good News Media Limited as organized criminal organizations. The committee also wants the National Police Service to severely sanction all security officers whose acts of commission or omission abetted or aided the Shakahola tragedy. As at 13th October 2023, 428 bodies had been exhumed and recovered from Shakahola, Kilifi County. One of the suspects died in prison custody, bringing the total number of deaths to 429. There is possibility that the death toll may rise in subsequent exhumations. Time will tell if the recommendations will be acted upon or the report will gather dust in the shelves of Parliament. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Welcome to the sports. And the Kenya Lionesses assistant coach Paul Murunga has made 7 changes to the squad ahead of their clash against Kazakhstan on Saturday in Dubai. The changes have also affected the starting lineup that succumbed 32-0 to Spain last Saturday. Maureen Chebet makes her full test debut as she slots into the second row alongside Faith Levoy, while Terry Ayesa replaces Lewin Amazimbi on the wing. Naito Toma, who captained the squad in the 32-0 defeat to Spain, misses out due to ankle injury and will be replaced by Enid Ouma, who will captain the squad. Ouma starts in the back row, where she will feature alongside Naomi Chelagat and Diana Kimunto. Now, speaking while leading the nation in marking this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations, President William Ruto has renamed Kericho Green Stadium to Wilson Kiprugut Chumo in honor of the pioneer athlete who won Kenya's first ever Olympic medal. The decision to rename the stadium follows a request made by Kericho residents to Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba during the late Kiprugut's burial ceremony recently. They requested that the government reconsider, or rather considers, to honor the legendary athlete by renaming a stadium in his memory.
Allow me to celebrate Kiprugut Chumo, the first Kenyan to win an Olympic medal, the first to win an Olympic medal by renaming this Kericho Green Stadium after him. I think he deserves it.
Well, it's been a week full of activities, and at this very point of Disruptive Friday, we take a moment to understand some more in relation to what the health sector is today. And thanks to technology, as the world moves digital, as we embrace technology, we just want to understand how crucial is this aspect of technology in making sure that as well.
Right. Now, they say the future of logistics is autonomous. And this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations under the banner of universal health coverage, and at the heart of it is digitization, one of the pillars to attaining convenience in the health sector, as well as efficiency. Drone technology as a form of achieving instant logistics and delivery systems is today embraced at a global stage, with most countries adapting this form of getting medical services where needed and on time. During the UHC Mashujaa conference this week, Linda Alela engaged Caleb Wanjala of Zipline, a company that designs, manufactures and operates this kind of drones, to understand just how the Kenyan market is adjusting to this technology. That is the sneak peek of what you just saw a little bit earlier on. Now here is a full course.
Well, it's been a week full of activities, and at this very point of Disruptive Friday, we take a moment to understand some more in relation to what the health sector is today. And thanks to technology, as the world moves digital, as we embrace technology, we just want to understand how crucial is this aspect of technology in making sure that as well the health sector gets to benefits of, that chunk, but most importantly, we get to advance that aspect of the health sector. And of course, standing at one of the booths right here in Kericho County, Kapketet, the conversation is about tech and innovation. And so we take a moment to just visit one of the booths where Zipline are stationed. And Zipline is one of the entities that has the services of drone. Let's call them the drone services, that has come in handy to transforming the health sector. You might be asking yourself how. If you have read or you have taken time to listen to news, you would understand that the countries like Rwanda have adapted this, and it seems to be working so well. So Zipline is largely working with different parts of the country, but most importantly, we would look at Kisumu as the case study and what they have managed to achieve in transforming the universal health coverage aspect of this very county. So we have a one-on-one session with Caleb Wanjala. Caleb Wanjala is part and parcel of the Zipline community or family, and perhaps he's going to introduce himself better as he tells us just exactly what it is that they are doing with this aspect of tech and innovation to transform the universal health coverage. Thank you for creating time.
Thank you so much.
Right. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, Caleb Wanjala is my name. Yes. I'm the technical lead, Global Health. So, as you rightfully put it, technology is one of the pivotal elements of healthcare service delivery. I think everything right now is taking towards technology. So the first question was, how do we leverage technology in making sure that, number one, access is guaranteed for healthcare. Number two, the comfort that we are experiencing in other areas, including food delivery, movement, how do we get that comfort? And number three, the timeliness on how the service is delivered. So the first question that Zipline wanted to ask is, after I have done a medical consultation over the phone, and the doctor has diagnosed and given me a prescription, why should I now take another time to go away, look for medicines, and then come back? That kind of comfort where I'm able to make the consultation, get the feedback, and get the commodities right there, right when I need them, is what is the driving force behind Zipline.
Right, so you're coming in of Zipline.
Yes. Now, Zipline came in with a very simple idea. The supply chain is already there. Commodities are moving across the supply chain, but there is a timely element, number one. Number two, the commodities, as the population grows, the commodities start becoming leaner. So how do we make sure that everybody is able to access commodities if and when they need them, and not just speculatively sending them through the supply chain? So two value propositions that Zipline has been trying to champion, and is actually championing, and I'll share with you some of the statistics that we have done, is that while at it, the first thing that we want to do is partner with county governments, because they are the owners of healthcare at the county level. Work with counties like Kisumu, like Kericho, Nyamira, Homa Bay, to be able to make sure that healthcare is accessible and that those commodities that are rare to reach, we can centralize them. And whoever needs them, when they need them, we can avail them within the shortest time possible. You understand that the difference between life and death is time. So what we do when we are exposed to a danger and when we intervene, that gap is what will determine whether the patient survives or not. Let me give you an example of really a good success story. When there is a gap, a mother comes in who's bleeding profusely and they need blood immediately. We cannot say, let's start fueling the ambulance, sending it to another speculatory facility, then hoping that we'll find the blood type that we want and then drive it back. So what we are asking as Zipline, can we have all those bloods centralized with us? And then if you need an O positive, then whoever needs it, as long as they are within the county government or structures that have been approved by the county government, they simply make a call and in under 40 minutes we'll be able to deliver them.
Are you saying that we have a proper station, more of a hospital kind of thing for Zipline?
I would call it a more of a warehouse. Okay. So we pull commodities. Those are drugs, blood, vaccines, and so much more around the commodities into a centralized place, what we call our distribution center, which is situated in Kisumu. Then from there, we are able to reach at least 15 counties of 15 LREM counties. Some though not fully covered, some fully covered, depending on the radius, but at least we can serve that population.
So within this warehouse,
yeah,
we find trained medics, like basically those ones that then would understand what is needed at what point, how do we package it and all that.
The beauty about healthcare is very regularized. You cannot just have anyone handling anything. So within our warehouse, we have lab experts, we have pharmacists, we have nurses, we have clinicians trained and certified by the county government and by the national government to be able to deliver those services. So those form one single unit called the fulfillment operations. Those are the ones who receive the orders, package the orders. Then there is a flight operations department that handles the flight of this wonderful machine down here.
Right, and the wonderful machine will certainly would wish to take a look at it. But even as we take a look at it, and perhaps just get to understand, for a moment, people are getting here and they are thinking, okay, well, labda ni ndege, labda si ndege. So there needs to be some more explanation as to this and also understanding, especially when you are going to get this to a patient. Yes. It's important that they get to know that, well, this is not just something that is coming up here and they get scared for a moment. They need to understand that this is something that is coming to handle us. Just how well, the technical aspect of it is basically what people would just wish to have an overview of understanding of the same.
The technical aspect is one of the small aspects of the bigger picture, the way we do it. You have rightfully put it. This thing flying over the airspace that has not been, with a community that has not been sensitized, they'll be, one, afraid, or too curious, and that might have its own challenges. So the first thing that we start is a very organized way of how we go about it. Number one, we must get approval from the national government to fly this because we are using the SM airspace with other air users. Then we have to get also some level of clearance by the community. So there will be some community engagements. Then number three, we'll be able to have trained personnel to be able to package and send the commodities across the supply chain. So that's basically a nutshell. So a lot of information is disseminated down here in terms of its safety, everything for them to be able to understand that this thing is giving us help, right? Then from there, now we move to a higher level now where it happens. So what happens is that within this, we put small amounts of commodities that are flown across the supply chain. Our key focus for now has been emergency commodities. Every other commodity can be found. Paracetamol can be found in a hospital. And it can take some time for someone to get paracetamol. It's not an emergency. But we can't wait for blood. If someone is bit by snakes, we can't wait. If someone has a dog bite, we can't wait. So such like stuff are being centralized for us to be able to make sure that they, because of their scarcity, are able to be accessed within a certain time frame and with speed as the leveraging point.
Every time you're talking about technology, data is crucial.
Yes.
What of data of these, certain institutions that you perhaps are dealing with, facilities that you're dealing with, as well as, patients' data?
Yeah. So that's quite an interesting perspective towards it. Before we are now assuming, let me take you through the picture, assuming you are the one giving me the commodities, you'll need accountability. Where these commodities went, when they went, who ordered for them, and who received them, and who received the service itself, right? So all that's data. Over time, we are able to see how many commodities move to a certain area. You might find a certain area taking certain commodities more, maybe dog bites more than other areas. So data starts from the supply data and scales across every type of consumption, disease patterns, and everything cumulatively over time. And Zipline, that's the biggest strength that we have in terms of communication, data. Because as this thing moves, digital data is being transferred into our warehouse each and every time in real time. So even the county systems themselves are able to track their commodities and be able to trigger refill by just a click of a button. They can be
So Ladli would say you are working with the county government as at now?
Yes. So currently we are working with Kisumu County.
Zipline has been transformational in Kisumu. I think we are probably around 1 year down the line. We were started with a small pilot, and the small pilot was running in 2 sub-counties. So we've not really run it in all the sub-counties that we wanted. But what we've used Zipline mainly for is for emergency supplies, firstly. We usually had a lot of dog bites and snake bites in several areas, and many times it's not possible to stock all these things in all the facilities. And so you find that you might have a facility which has the commodity this time, but very far off there's another facility which does not have the commodity, and the patient who requires it is in another facility. So it's not really possible to, within 24 hours, within the right time, to get those commodities there. So with Zipline, we're able to deliver those commodities within 30 minutes. And so far, we've had more than 500 cases of snake or dog bites that have been served through the Zipline technology. It's also been used for stockouts, what we're calling emergency supplies. We've had mothers who are in eclampsia, for example, they are having a fit, and the facility does not have the commodities. So with Zipline, that is delivered within 30 minutes. And we've had 2 or 3 cases where a mother went to a facility, she's an emergency, she's convulsing, the ambulance will take almost 1 hour to reach there. And so the doctor can tell the nurse what to do, and the drug will be delivered within 30 minutes, and the first dose is already given. The second thing we are using it for, apart from those kind of deliveries, we are now moving it into scheduled deliveries. And in terms of scheduled deliveries, you have so many health centers, and sometimes when you have a constellation or a package of, say, 1 million shillings, to distribute all these in all the facilities using a vehicle is very expensive and time-consuming. I remember when we used to buy supplies, which is not from KEMSA, from other people, it would take us 3 or 4 months to distribute them. But with this, we're able to distribute within a day to all our facilities in a very short time. And so that has really helped us. We are now moved into using it in medical camps, especially football fields where you have youth and youth engagement. So we deliver products for protection against HIV, for pre-exposure prophylaxis. Whenever, sometimes youth are very scared of going to facilities because they don't want to identify. But when they're in a football field and they're within their space, we usually set up a booth, and whenever somebody needs commodities, then we zip them in and they're able to be given those commodities. And finally, now we are moving into agriculture, where we are using it to transport vaccines. So that whenever, if you realize that there are many snake bites, the thing is to vaccinate dogs and not the human beings who have been bitten. And so we have already piloted during the World Rabies Day. We were able to transport vaccines using the drone for animals to be vaccinated against rabies.
We are working with Home of Untold and we are working with Nyamira. We are in the inception stages of working with Kericho, and the scale out will be a little bit spontaneous depending on how fast the counties adopt. Yeah.
So one of the crucial things then would be achieving the expectations of the market. You know, this are just about 5 counties that you're working with. You know, if well received, we expect that this is going to spread to different counties. That aspect of market expectation, how are you managing it?
Market expectations are dynamic because market expectations are driven by the consumer more than the implementer or the policy entities. So there are 2 things that we are looking at. Number 1, how the people are uptaking the services, how they desire to uptake the services. Then number 2, because they are the ones that inform the county on how to program, what is the biggest need within my county. Then working with the county, we are able to fulfill according to their expectation because their expectation is to serve their population. So that kind of synergy where we stand in between as an enabler, getting to understand what the client needs and what the county government expects and what can be able to be done. Then bringing together that synergy to make sure that both ends are satisfied. That's the sustainability plan.
Good. And sustainability plan, I'm glad that you speak about that. The sustainability of the technology itself. Now that, well, technology is advancing by the day.
We cannot wish away technology advancements. However, the technology advancements do not come from the blues. Technology advancements are wishful thoughts of the populations, the end users of the commodities. So as they continue thinking crazy, so do we also go crazy. Over time, the craziness keeps on metamorphosing into something new. So as they bring out their ideas, we iterate based on their ideas. Ours is to enable that thought that is crazy to become a reality. Science fiction into reality.
Your clarion call to the people and the government in terms of embracing this.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a clarion call because it's a nature call, right? The nature call says, if you delay, your people are suffering. What can we do? So the only clarion call that I can make is, how well do you want it? How well do you want it? And we will iterate based on how well you want it. Because we are here to serve. Your expectations are not ours. Yeah.
And so this is not a dummy, but the actual look of what it looks like. Just a random take through of what it is. Just a random one.
Not be a technician.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
So I'll give the outline according to a layman's perspective, right? So these are the wings, the normal wings of any aeroplane. The flaps here are the controllers that control the turning, the lifting, the pitching. And then these ones, this is the motor. So as they rotate, they give the propulsion force. The compartment is down here where the commodities are kept. So once the